Agreeing with anyone who wants to or whom we advise to invest money, agreeing what their attitude to risk is or should be, is very important. It's particularly important because the regulator tells us it should be. To quote them, it's the foundation of good advice. As a result, there are all sorts of risk profiling tools, basically questionnaires, which ask a few or a lot of questions and the results of which go into various calculators and will tell us that someone is happy taking lots of risk with their investments, no risk at all, or more often than not, a shade of grey. Not green this time, see last week's video on green investments. A shade of grey being usual for most, as very few of us are black and white. The guidance is that, as well as a questionnaire, we should find out about our client's situation, what would happen if they did lose money, their capacity for loss, how it would affect them and their families and so on, and that's what they call the hard facts. We should then discuss the soft facts, their goals, aspirations, past experiences, time scales, all the stuff we do anyway. Now, if we ask the majority of people we meet for the first time how they feel about this, you can bet that most will say, "Oh, I'm very cautious. Taking risks makes me very nervous." However, they have come to talk to us because usually they have money in the bank that they want to use more effectively, or already have some pensions or investments which they want to sort out. So if we then say, okay, leave it where it is, or cash it in and put it in the bank, we wouldn't be doing our job. In fact, we wouldn't have a job. I'll throw in another factor here, discussed previously, that our Chancellor is apparently and allegedly considering reducing the amount you can have in cash ISAs to encourage more investment in stocks and shares. Most advisors are then saying, that's fine, but if we encourage clients to take more risk than is good for them, we'll always be ruled against if the funds go down in value and there's a complaint. Because, of course, by their very nature, stocks and shares investments will go up and down. And if you don't want an investment which goes up and down, yes, leave it all in the bank. So, going back to those questionnaires, by design, or because it's just the way things are, I can tell you that probably 90% will come out somewhere in the middle. For us, because we try to keep things simple, that's what we call balanced or medium risk, which means having 60% in shares, the rest in fixed interest investments or bonds, loans to governments and companies, the theory being that when shares are sold and stock markets go down, the money has to go somewhere, so it goes into those bonds. And that works most of the time. And being in the middle smooths out the bumps, which there will always be. The other thing we're careful to do is make sure everyone we advise has more than enough in the bank or in premium bonds, which won't go down in value. That takes care of what the regulator calls their capacity for loss. Because we won't advise anyone to invest somewhere where they will lose all of their money. Just somewhere that it will do okay in the long term. They'll never make a fortune, but never lose one either. And if that's not right for you, then it's not right for either of us. Go and buy your own bitcoins or new build holiday homes in Cape Verde or wherever. And pick your own funds and fund managers. Neil Woodford, I'm looking at you. Fine, don't ask us to help you. Boring and bland we may be, but we're still here, and so are our clients. Some after many, many years. We'll ask you every year when we see you if we should change the level of risk, but for most in the middle, unless things change, there's rarely any need to change that. Some are a notch up from medium, and they will always generally do better with more ups and downs. And if anyone is right down the scale, a notch as we call it above being in the bank, we'd probably say leave it in the bank. And our version of high risk is, yes, having everything in shares, but in a very well spread basket of funds, of types of shares, and world stock markets. Again, short of an apocalypse, when we won't care anyway, you'll never lose it all. But keep growing your own vegetables, just in case.